Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome to Congregation Kol Ami. On behalf of myself, Rabbi Ross Levy, and our student rabbi, Alana Rabashaw, we want to welcome everyone to our synagogue here in West Hollywood, Congregation Kol Ami. To those of you joining us in person, to those of you joining us online, we hope it's been not too bad of a week, but now we get the chance to take a breath, to rest a little bit, and bring in Shabbat as a sacred community. Lisa? Thank you, Lisa, for that beautiful rendition of Dodi Lee, the words of which come from the Song of Songs, the book in the Hebrew Bible filled with love poetry, and we will have the opportunity to celebrate love a little bit later in our service. For now, we begin on page 126. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics, and no services. But I need them. We need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, and my capacity to love. As we reach upward in prayer, we sense these qualities in our Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and of joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. We continue on the following page, page 128, with Hinei Matov, how good and how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters and companions to dwell together. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
It is now my joy to invite up Don and Elizabeth Lackman in honor of their anniversary this past week to kindle our Shabbat lights. We are on page 121.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their heart. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Ta Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, vitzivanu, lahad ligner, shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'ad likneh v'tzivanu le'ad likneh shel Shabbat. Blessed are you who commands us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. We'll continue with Kiddush, with our blessing, sanctifying the sacred day of Shabbat that we are welcoming as we turn to page 123. Please join along. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon yinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh zeicher litziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat l'chaim. L'chaim, and happy second anniversary to Donna Elizabeth. We continue welcoming Shabbat as we turn to page 138 for Lecha Dodi. And as a brief reminder, we will be doing verses 1, 2, and 9. And upon reaching the 9th and final verse, we'll ask that all please rise and face the entrance as a way of formally and symbolically welcoming in the presence of Shabbat. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat mikabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat mikabela. La 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 lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat mikabela. lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor b'zachor b'dibor echad, yishme'anu el ha'meyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'litzi la 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 lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor ha'beracha merosh migadem nesucha. Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila la 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 lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ha'teret bala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, la 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 lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. La 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 lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. And as we've welcomed the presence of Shabbat, we encourage everyone to welcome each other, whether you're sitting near each other here in person or welcome each other online. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom, Mom and Dad and Ronnie, if you're watching. Love you guys. Shabbat Shalom, student rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom.
Our service will continue on page 146 as we remain standing. And as we go into the Baruch Hu is very much a preparatory prayer. It's a way of preparing ourselves and bringing ourselves into sort of the praying mindset. And so before we go into the Baruch Hu, let's all take one breath together, and as we breathe in, we'll breathe in all of the good things that we've carried with us this week. And as we exhale, we're going to exhale all the bad stuff. We're going to let it go, we're going to let it be, and we're going to move on to the week ahead. So in with all the goodness and the gratitude, and out with all the bad stuff. Baruch Hu, page 146. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Ba'ed, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Ba'ed. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai.
Page 148.
Please be seated.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach she'arim, u'bitvuna meshanei itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'msader et hakochavim, b'mishmaratehem b'rakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, b'choshech mipnei or, Uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid imloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim.
Amen. We continue praying together at the top of the page, on page 151. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. We now rise together as one community as we sing and pray the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. We are seated. We continue chanting together Ve'ahavta on page 154. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, and that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, and that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Page 158.
Say חוקי הים לפני משה ומרים זה הביאנו ואמרו זה הביאנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד We continue with our prayer, asking God to lie us down in safety and to rise us up in safety. And I think this blessing and this prayer means a little bit more considering how dark it was when we began services today. I don't know about you, but it's still getting used to the darkness so early in the day. And for our ancestors, the darkness wasn't just a time for rest, it was also a time of anxiety and of stress, a time of insecurity. And so that's the place where this prayer comes from, praying for that security. And so as we sing it and pray it together, I invite you to think about what sort of things, what sort of insecurities, what sort of anxieties trouble you when you're trying to go to bed at night? What keeps you up at night? And what are the ways that you can breathe through it and let it go and find some rest as we all try to find rest at the end of a very long week? We continue with Hashki Venu, page 160. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Short tzedenu uvoenu lechaim ushalom le'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Hamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
I know that I have brought this lesson onto the pulpit before, but it is one that is always poignant for me, and that is from Israeli author Ahad Ha'am. More than the Jewish people keep Shabbat, Shabbat keeps the Jewish people. These 25 hours of Shabbat, of rest, are a gift, and I like to think that in so many ways it begins right now when we have the Amidah, and I hope that you take these next few moments as a gift for yourself, for private prayer, for personal prayer, for reflection. In the book, it would start on the Siddur, it would begin on page 164, or the words in your heart. Please rise as you are able.
Adonai sifatai titav fi agi tehilatecha Adonai sifatai תיטיב ופי יגיד תהילתך. Invite everyone to continue their prayers silently, and when you've finished, you are invited to be seated. Conclude the Amidah portion with the words that can be found on the bottom of page 180. Say shalom b'mrona, uyaseh shalom aleinu ve'alku Yisrael ve'alku Shvei tevel, ya na 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 na, ya na 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 na, ya na 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 na, ya na 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 na, ya 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 na 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 na.
Yesterday was Veterans Day, and we want to say to all of those who served, thank you for your service and for helping to keep our country safe and bring peace to the United States and to the world. And we want to offer this prayer in honor of all of our veterans. Compassionate God, source of mercy, we pay tribute to those who have served our country to express our gratitude for their courage and selflessness, both those among today and those of generations past. This nation, built by those born of this soil and those who have come here from all the corners of the earth, is on a continual journey towards destiny. May we never let down those who have served in defense of this country. May we uphold the values of freedom, of the inherent dignity of every human being, by our own right conduct, by the kindness and tolerance we show to one another. May we lead the world by example and become, in the words of Isaiah, a light unto the nations. Then will the labors and sacrifices of those veterans be honored not in words alone, but by our deeds. Amen.
With these prayers resonating within our hearts and within our souls, we now offer a prayer for healing for those who may be in need, whether they're in need of healing of body, healing of mind, or a healing of their spirit. At this moment, Congregation Kol Ami is thinking of John Altschul, Aaron Aronoff, Vicki Bernard, Richard Bernard, Don Bernstein, Tim Bestenheider, Dabby Blatt, Robert Cantrell, Jared Chambers, Jeannie Cole, Olga Drucker, Francine Epstein, Tino Felipe, Dorothy Gibson Anderson, Lynette Graves, Timothy Hawks, Don Hollis, Christopher Hughes, Madeline Kent, Jeffrey Lehman, Phil Lelyveld, Ellen Lank, Russell Kirschenbaum, Jeff Mackler, Deshaun McLean, Lauren Ostro, Tammy Rabowski, Ben Reback, Howard Romanoff, Judy Rosenberg, Lowell Sullivan, Michael Simmental, Janine Snyder, Henry Soberfeld, Muriel Stein, Suzanne Waldman, Kathy Weiss, Eitan Wolf, Nancy Wortman, David Ben Herschel Rabasha, and Sarit Bat Ilana. To these names, we add those of your loved ones that you're thinking of at this time. I invite you to share them with our community here in person. There are those who may be joining online. I encourage you to share their names with our community in the chat. Page 371. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Does not get old hearing a response to it after a year plus on Zoom. So thank you all for being here in person, and thank you to all of those showing up online this evening. Now, this might be hard to believe, but when I was 19 years old, I led a 4-day canoe trip down the Wisconsin River for roughly 20 13-year-olds. There was one day in particular when the weather was dismal and lightning was striking really close, a little bit too close for comfort. We pulled our canoes onto a sandbar and got out of the water. As the sunset hit, I took what is, in my opinion, one of the best photographs I have ever taken. And it was of this post-storm sunset bouncing on this pile of canoes overlooking the Wisconsin River. And even though I have taken that canoe trip 7 or 8 times in my life, and I often notice the sunset, I knew that this particular sunset was a once-in-a-lifetime moment. I still look at the picture and marvel at how incredible it was. And now I invite you all to take a moment. I'm sure that you have a memory of a miraculous moment yourself, when you noticed a special kind of beauty in the world, whether it was nature or interpersonal. What led you to that moment? And what are your emotions attached to those memories? This week, we read the story of our patriarch Jacob on a journey himself. He sets up camp for the night and has a famous dream where angels were going up and down a ladder. During this dream, God appeared to Jacob and shared the promised legacy of a land and a great nation for Jacob and his descendants. When Jacob woke up the next morning, he exclaimed, "God was here and I didn't notice." Rashi, our great 11th century commentator, notes that perhaps if Jacob had known that the place he camped was a holy place, a place of God, that he would not have slept there. And it gets me wondering, how do we know when a moment or a place is especially holy, both in the present and when we look back? And what can we do to acknowledge and honor it? I have been a Chicago Cubs fan for my entire life. And those of you who are sports fans know that those kinds of sports fandoms run very deep. And each year, the day after the World Series ends, we, as Cubs fans, have the mentality that next year is here and that this could maybe be the year for the Cubs. So 10 days into this new year, I turned to baseball for answers. Exactly 5 years before the Atlanta Braves won the World Series, there was a 17-minute rain delay that folklore credits with changing baseball history forever and finally giving the Cubs that World Series championship. Speaking about this rain delay that many believe gave the Cubs the momentum to win Game 7, Reverend James Granius said that he does not subscribe to any belief that God causes, God favors, or intervenes in any athletic contest. He said, that being said though, I do believe that God provides opportunities for us to step away from the present to contemplate higher things. During this 17-minute rain delay, Cubs player Jason Hayward called a players-only meeting. The message of this meeting called on the players to stay positive and fight for their brothers. Stick together, he said, and we will win this game. Regardless of the outcome, I believe that that game would go down in baseball history. The question that Jason Hayward asked, however, was how could the players take the moment into their own hands? In other words, how can this act of God from the rain turn into a human act of godliness? Yes, Jacob saw God in his dream and heard God promise to keep him safe on his journey. But it was actually Jacob who made the moment holy. He took the stone that he had put under his head to sleep and set it up as a pillar and poured oil on top of it to anoint it as holy. Jacob's intentionality expanded the holiness from his dream into the day and onto his whole journey. His actions here were what brought godliness and holiness into his journey and eventually into his family. I'm not sure if I've ever had an explicit of an encounter with God as Jacob did. But even if we don't see God in a dream, in a sunset, and maybe don't even feel God in a memory, we still have the ability to embrace what we perceive to be sacred and enact our own godliness. I want to empower everyone this evening to say, yes, this is an awesome moment. It doesn't have to be an historic one. It can be an interaction, a dinner with those whom we love most in the world. Or maybe it is an act of God. The question remains, though, how can we step away, use the present, and see the bigger picture? There's no easy answer. Being present without looking at our phones, thinking about what we have to do next, or even deciding to check in on Facebook and let the world know where we are, is a challenge on its own. Brene Brown, of course, provides food for thought. She says, I don't have to chase extraordinary moments to find happiness. It's right in front of me if I'm paying attention and practicing gratitude. Brene Brown reminds us here that we are empowered to mark a moment as holy. I'd argue that it's what we've been doing here this evening. We've lit candles, we've welcomed Shabbat, we've celebrated an anniversary, and we've noticed the separation from the week into this sacred moment. Let us all remember that we have the power to turn the ordinary into the extraordinary, to see God in a moment, or to bring the godliness on our own. This is our blessing, and perhaps this is our charge as we begin looking towards Thanksgiving in less than 2 weeks now. Can ye hear its own? May it be God's will. It is now my honor to invite up Johanna Shore as a member of our board to share some announcements.
What a lovely, lovely drush. Thank you so much. It's been a great service.
I forgot
There we
the
go.
microphone.
Oh, I can say it again. It's a wonderful drush. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a great service. Shabbat Shalom. I'm Johanna Shore, and a member of the board of Temple Kol Ami, Congregation Kol Ami. I want to again thank Don and Elizabeth for sharing their anniversary with us tonight, and thank you for sponsoring tonight's service. Tomorrow, please join Rabbi Levy for a Shabbat holiness hike in Fryman Canyon, 9:30 to 11. I went last time, it was great, and won't be able to join you tomorrow, but I'm sure it'll be great. It's a great hike up there. At 11 tomorrow morning also, our family Shabbat program will take place at Kol Ami. And our student rabbi, Alana Rabashar, right here, and our education resident, Aliana Rubin, as they explore the Tower of Babel story together. Next Friday, we're having Rabbi Levy's installation weekend kickoff. So next Friday night and Saturday, November 20th, please join us in the festive pre-neg in our courtyard from 5:30 to 6:30 on Friday night, then a special musical service at 6:30. Then on Saturday morning, Torah study will return to in-person and be online also in our sanctuary. So don't miss this special musical Shabbat celebration and just a welcoming Rabbi Levy formally to Congregation Kol Ami. On Saturday, November 20th, our Torah study will be with Rabbi Katzaw, who will not be in person but online at 10 a.m. So please register with the Zoom link. Transgender Day of Remembrance will be observed at Kol Ami on Friday night, November 26th, with guest speaker Sharon Brown, who's president of Christopher Street West, the organization responsible for LA's Pride Parade and Festival, and the head of HR for the LGBT Center. This Shabbat will only be online, so that's in a few weeks at 6:30. So let me see what else is going on. World AIDS Day, yes, is December 1st, the fourth night of Hanukkah. And we're going to welcome Dr. Michael Gottlieb, a longtime colleague of mine, who 40 years ago wrote the first report of AIDS in 5 patients, and he'll deliver our keynote at our interfaith observance. A section of the AIDS memorial quilt will also be on display, so please join us for this fourth night of Hanukkah and also an acknowledgement of World AIDS Day. So as always, we hope you'll keep up to date with what's happening and check out our website at kol-ami.org. That's Kol Ami, kol-ami.org. I see we have some people here in the sanctuary who are here for the first time. So could we welcome you? Could you just raise your hand if this is the first time, and or the first time back during the pandemic? Yay, Toby. Hi, yes. So it's great to have you back in the sanctuary, and I welcome you all, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much, Johanna. Our service will move into concluding prayers as we turn to page 586 and rise as we are able for Aleinu L'Shabeach. Aleinu L'Shabeach La'adon HaKol Latet Gedula Le'otzeh Breshit Shehu Aratzot Velo Samanu K'mishpechot Ha'adama Shelo Sam Chelkenu Kahem Vegor Aleinu Kechol Hamonam Va'anachnu Korim Mishtachavim Umodim Lifnei Melech Malchei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'nemar V'haya Adonai L'melech al kol haaretz Bayom ha'u Yeh Adonai echad U'shemo We'll ask that we remain standing. And before we move into the Mourner's Kaddish, our memorial prayer, we also note with sadness that earlier this week was the 83rd anniversary of Kristallnacht, in English known as the Night of Broken Glass, an event that took place in Germany where Jewish businesses and places of worship were destroyed by mobs, by a paramilitary group under the Nazi regime, while many of the German authorities looked on and watched. And in 1938, this really portended, it really was the first sign of the destruction and the hatred and the appalling desecration of life that was to come in years after. And so we remember those who have passed as we turn to page 530 for El Malei Rachamim. We read together in English at the bottom, and then I'll chant it in the Hebrew. Fully compassionate God on high, to our 6 million brothers and sisters murdered because they were Jews together, grant clear and certain rest with you in the lofty heights of the sacred and pure, whose brightness shines like the very glow of heaven. Source of mercy, forever enfold them in the embrace of your wings, secure their souls in eternity. Adonai, they are yours. They will rest in peace. Amen. El Malei Rachamim, shochein b'mnomim, hametzei menucha nechona, tachat kanfei Shechina, b'malot kedoshim utehorim, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמות 6 מיליון אחינו ואחיותינו שנהרגו על קידוש השם. בעל הרחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים. ויצור ביצור החיים את נשמותם, אדוני הוא נחלתם, וינוחו בשלום על משכבם, ונאמר אמן.
We now turn to those who we are remembering this Shabbat, whether it is because we are in a period of mourning of the first week, the first month, the first year, or we are remembering an anniversary of the death of a loved one. Tonight, Congregation Kol Ami is remembering Almont Hernandez, brother of Michael Simmental, Bernice Fettman, mother of Carrie Fettman, Minnie Mason, mother of Barry Mason and mother-in-law of Karen Mason, Joseph Heller, father of Karen Mason and father-in-law of Barry Mason, Max Primick, father of Jerry Primick, William Gold, grandfather of Cheryl Gold, Sarah Zackheim, great-grandmother of Grant Gochin, Abe Green, father of Bruce Green, Leonard Goldman, father of David Goldman, Pearl Wernick, grandmother of Neil Zalavsky, and those names are illuminated in our sanctuary this evening. We are also remembering Herman Gross, father of Alvin Gross, Jane Murray, sister of Lori Davidson, Shirley Block, grandmother of Emmett Block, Desiderio Pacheco, father of Ruben Pacheco, and this year Congregation Kol Ami is remembering Roberto Martinez, Robert Weems, Adele Habibi, Sarah Klein, Francis Schiff, Lynn Ehrlich McCulley, Mariel Steicher, Marie Cecilia Ruvo, Eva Weinberger, Sandra Smith, Jack Ader, Esther Richmond, Mary Wilson, Josh Markowitz, Vincent Gabriel, Steve Boardman, Fred Michaels, Claude Casalino, Jeb Stewart Robinson, Barbara Rubin, Jill Dowler, Allison Schurz, Rochelle Kaminsky, Alan Eckaby, Gary Rosenfeld, Stephen May, Herbert Lank, Jack Salzberg, Paul Rush, Hanum Bashi, Michael Epstein, Marvin Keller, Mark Levin, Rick Gold, Erwin Citron, Don Robbins, Paul Morgan Fredericks, Paula Tabor, Ann Pendo, Linda Bacalian, and Ruben Ibarra. If there's a name you would like to add, I invite you to say their name aloud wherever you are, or to type it into our chat on Facebook and on YouTube and bring their memories into our community. We continue with the Kaddish, which can be found on page 598. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Ve'alma Divra Chirutei Ve'amlich Malchutei, V'chayechon V'yomechon V'chaye D'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala U'vizman Kariv V'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Leolam Lomei Amaya. Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei d'kudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, huya asei shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen.
Please be seated. We will conclude tonight with a little bit of a different closing song in honor of Veterans Day and to those who have served our country. And as we sing together God Bless America on page 680 in your prayer books, it is in your prayer books, I wanted to note that this country is not perfect. It is far from perfect, as we see when we open the news. But when we sing God Bless America and we join in this prayer, and it is very much a prayer written by a Jewish man, Irving Berlin, in the early 1900s, that it's an expression of hope for what this country could be, for the ideals that our veterans and those who have served this country in many different ways believed in and fought for, and many times died for. And so as we sing it, we also recognize the imperfections and yet pray that those imperfections are opportunities for change, for hope, and for holiness. God Bless America, page 680. Bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home. The final prayer that we conclude every service with, the Kaddish prayer, is like many prayers similar, traditionally only supposed to be recited when there are 10 adult Jews present. And you know that a prayer is like that if it comes from the same root, kuf daled shin, which means holy or sacred. And I think what that teaches us is that when 10 people come together, when we come together as a community, we bring the holiness. We create the holiness that our student rabbi so beautifully taught about. And even though Jacob in his dream did not realize that God was there in that moment, I hope that we all realize that by showing up, by being present and being mindful of this moment, this Friday night here at Kol Ami, we brought that much more holiness into the world, and we, for even just a moment, felt God's presence. So my prayer for you is that you can take some of this holiness that we've created here together and bring it out into the world and bring the light that we created out into a world that is desperately in need. And with that, I wish you a Shabbat Shalom, and let us say together, Amen.
Amen.